Hey everyone, my name is Alyssa and welcome to the Productive Dev. In today's video, we're going to talk about creating a custom hook in React, and specifically a hook called the useMediaQuery hook. And this is based on a blog post I wrote back in 2021, which is crazy to think, but it's still a relevant React hook to this day. And I assume if you're watching this video, you know what a hook is. But just a quick refresher, hooks in React are really just JavaScript functions whose names start with use and that may call other hooks. And this was a really great introduction into React because it allows you to have kind of encapsulated hook that can handle their own state and side effects, but can be reused across other components. And so the problem that I was trying to solve with this particular hook is that, let's say you want to conditionally render a component on a page at a certain media query breakpoint. And I had encountered this issue at work years ago while implementing a new tablet layout for our application. Unfortunately, it's not the most natural thing to do in React since you'd have to kind of do some CSS trickery. So I did some research and found out that there's actually a native JavaScript way to do this. And that led me to the Window Match Media web API, which I hadn't heard of until then. And if we go to the documentation, this on the global window object, there's a match media method that you can leverage. And on that method, it takes a media query string. So as you can see in the examples here, you can do something like width, less than 600 pixels, orientation landscape, basically what you would pass in as a breakpoint with just writing straight up CSS. And what that does is when you do that, it will give you back a media query list object. And that object returns two read-only properties, which is a matches, whether or not it matches the media query breakpoint that you specified. So it's just a Boolean. And then this media object here. And one thing I think that's really cool about this is that seeing it used in person is actually helpful. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to open up the console here, and I'm actually going to copy the example here because it should be pretty good. So what it's saying is this window match media. Again, it's just on the global window object, and we're specifying that the orientation should be landscape. And then there's this event lister that's being added that on change will console log whether it's an orientation or landscape mode. So we're going to do that. Okay, so now we have it there. And if I look at this MQL variable, hopefully that's big enough. Let me zoom in here. You'll see that we have this matches. So it's letting us know, okay, well, currently we're in landscape mode. And then this media, which is the breakpoint that we specified. And so what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to put the browser in like this kind of look. So now, if you notice, it console logs orientation because now we're in this kind of mobile-ish view. And if I was to rotate it, now in landscape orientation, now in portrait, now in landscape. So you can see how JavaScript being able to notify you when this happens can be very helpful. So I just wanted to show you kind of the base of where, like the web API that this hook is going to be built off of, because that gives us the foundation to go ahead and build the hook now in React. So that's why I just wanted to explain that. It's always good to know, I think, when you're building something like this, okay, well, how does it actually work? So I want to actually take a look at the finished code, and I actually have a code sandbox here with it. And so I just want to go line by line, and then we can just see how it works. So first thing with anything with a hook is I have a function, and it starts with a use. And so we have this useMediaQuery function that accepts a single parameter string, which represents the media query string. Inside the function, we've defined a state variable now that will hold the value of the matches property. And then we also create a useEffect that will handle all the side effects needed to make things work. And so in this useEffect, one of the dependencies is the media query, which is based on the parameter being passed in, because if the media query changes, then we want the useEffect to change. But inside this useEffect, we're going to create a media query list object, very similar to what we just did over here. We could MQL object. And so what that does is going to do window.matchMedia and then take that media query string that we passed in. So the media query object will kind of look something like this. And then from there, we have this media query list handler. And what we're doing there is we're registering an event listener to the media query list object that will update the state whenever there's a change to the evaluated result of the matches property. So And then in the useEffect cleanup method, we remove the event listener. This is just the cleanup method, so that we prevent any lingering subscriptions when the component unmounts. So hopefully that makes sense. And then what we do at the end here is we just return the isMediaMatch state, which contains the value from the MediaQuery list.matches property, so that anytime you're using this hook, you have access to that Boolean. And so here I have a sample component, very simple. And what I'm doing here is I have this show tablet view variable, but I'm referencing the useMediaQuery hook and then passing in, see, this is a little bit more, not complex, but just a different MediaQuery string showing that, okay, if the min width is set, if this is between 768 pixels and the max width is 1024 pixels, then we want to show the tablet view. And if you notice within here, we just have a simple, conditional here. So if it's show tablet view, then we literally have just a heading that shows that. And then if not, we show the default view. So right now we're just showing the default view, which means the MediaQuery object is not matching. But if I go ahead and move the screen, notice that now we show, again, this is a contrived example, not very pretty, but you can see now we're rendering this tablet view because it's like, okay, I'm within the parameters that were outlined here. And if I make it too wide now, we go back to the default view because now I have greater than the 1024 that was specified. But if I go back down, tablet view, too small, there. So this is just, I don't know, I think this hook is really neat. I don't know if a lot of people know about it. I didn't know about this particular, MediaQuery web API until I kind of started looking into this. But I think leveraging this hook is pretty straightforward, and it allows you to do a lot of cool things because now you can conditionally render components or just different elements just by using this simple hook. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Let me know if you've heard about this web API before, and I will catch you in the next video.